I'm going to shoot a little shop update here, and it's going to cover a bunch of stuff. One of the things that it's going to start out with a toolbox. I added those magnetic strips in the back for the pry bars to stick in the back. So I've only got one pry bar back there right now, a larger one, but I plan on getting a couple of more. One of the other things, it's going to this video is going to cover quite a few things regarding the shop. A haul I made to Pittsburgh. It's very limited footage on that. Just some planks that I had to make to get a forklift onto the trailer. One of the other things that I'm going to discuss in this video is ongoing projects that are in the shop. So I'm probably there's some people out there that are kind of wondering what's going on with the tractor, what's going on with the lathe, and some other things. So I just want to discuss that and tell you how it's going to they're going to transpire in my weekly videos and when I'm going to get to them. So there's going to be that some repairs that I had to make to some drain grates that I had built last year. There's going to be a bunch of things in the shop update, so here we go. Another part of a shop update, those magnetic rails that I had taken out of the screwdriver drawer and I had laying around, I put on the back of the toolbox, and what I'm going to do is put the pry bars back there. It works great. They hold great. It's a little crooked, the rail's a little crooked. Once they get on, they are stuck. So what I've got to do is just line it up. I didn't want to just pick it up and or pivot it because it would probably scratch the paint, but what I'll do is I'll get it twisted a little bit to get it off and straighten it up just so it's aligned. A little bit anal, but you know, your eyes drawn to it if it's not aligned. I kind of want to do a video on shop projects. Some of my viewers might be more interested in some things than other things, like the drill press, the bandsaw, lathe, the tractor, that Ford haul truck that is the new project. Let me just talk about projects in general. I want to assure the viewers that are interested in certain things that these things will be ongoing. And I'm standing in front of the tractor, so let's start talking about the tractor. I have kind of pulled off of it for a while and not really done a lot on it. I have set up a gauge, a dial indicator, and checked the backlash in the rear end, and the backlash is good. So kind of what my scheme is for overall projects is to do things in conjunction with every other thing. Maybe I'll be working on the tractor one day and then the truck the next day, and the lathe or the drill press. The drill press is pretty close. I've just got to finish cleaning it up and getting it painted, and then it can be put back into position where it's going to go, and it's going to be good to go. That drill press is functioning, and as I've said in that video, it's not a complete restoration project. It's just a cleanup, get it repainted, and it's working. It's operable right now, so that's good to go. The tractor, I've kind of got to get my head back into the tractor again. Go back and review a couple of my own videos. Just to kind of bring myself back up to speed on the tractor. So what is going to be happening is I've got to really explore that upper case of the rear end, where that shaft goes down through into the transmission for the 3-point hitch. get that good, get the transmission back on, and start buckling this thing back up together again. I had talked about in a previous video a couple of weeks ago about the American lathe. I do have some footage on that, and what I did is pulled the electrical off, and let me just show it to you. I know it's pretty battered up, and I will post a video on that. But basically, what I have to do, this was a relay, and I've the same with this is the same issue that I have with this is I have with the bandsaw, is finding a relay that can shut off. Have a 110 switch, push button switch, to kill 220 volt stuff. So in this one, it's kind of simpler because this is a 220 single phase, whereas the bandsaw is 223 phase. So those are those two things. Basically, that's the projects. The tractor, the drill press, that lathe, and now the haul truck. But they will all be going on, coinciding together. As I run into issues or need parts for one thing, I can be working on another while I'm waiting on those parts. So they will all be ongoing. They just might not be happening as fast as some people would like it to, but it will be ongoing. I'm out behind my shop. I just wanted to show you, it's a Sunday. I didn't go climbing today, so I came over to the shop for a little while. What I did is dragged out a couple of hoses because it kind of warmed up into the mid-30s. Now it's supposed to go back down to 10 tonight. But what I did is I dragged out a couple of hoses and just tried to spray some of the salt and grime off of this trailer. I've got to make a run to Pittsburgh tomorrow, take a forklift down there. So I just kind of wanted to get some of the grime and salt off of the trailer while it was above freezing for a couple of hours. So that's exactly what I did. Just came out here, hosed it off. Now I didn't power wash it, didn't hook up the power washer or anything, just hooked up a couple of hoses and washed, just kind of rinsed it off. We kind of tried to rinse the salt off of it. But anyways, there's that. And I'm back in the shop now, after showing you the trailer that I just rinsed off. This is a sheet of 3/4 inch plywood that I ripped down the center Friday. I did that Friday afternoon, just ripped it down the center. And what I'm going to use it for, that forklift that I have to load on the trailer is bigger than this, but it's a kind of a small forklift. So I'm afraid that the tires would, because the tires might be small on it, that they might sink down in between the cross slats on the back of the dovetail. So what I'm going to do is just put these sheets of plywood up there and run the forklift up on that so it doesn't, the small wheels don't go down in between the slats of the dovetail. Here's this load that I've got to take to Pittsburgh. That pallet is got drops on it, steel plate drops, and then the forklift. Just waiting to grab some lunch here, and then I'm going to be heading out. Got this picked up this morning, came back to the shop, waiting for lunch, and then I'm going to be leaving. I'm going to show a segment here of repairing some drain grates. I built these grates about a year ago for my landlord to install in another area in the building, and the guy, one of the tenants, is having some issues with them because he's got some heavy equipment that he drives over them with. So I had to do some repair, and that's what's going to be coming up next. These are some of those grates that I built. what is happening is they're busting. Got heavy trucks that run over it, and it's busting. So I've got to get in there and fix it. I'll re-weld this thing, straighten it out, and add more supports to it. But I'll bring you back when I do. What I did is I kind of tacked them up a little bit, just to keep them together, and then took them over and put them in the press and straightened them out. And now what I'm doing is adding another cross support in here in between the existing cross support, so that they'll be every 6 inches, and hopefully that'll hold the weight of the trucks that go over it. But we'll take a look at it. Originally, the landlord came up with this idea of doing it. Originally, he had them spaced a lot farther apart, and I convinced them to go with the 12 inches, and that apparently didn't work for trucks, larger trucks that drive over it. So I'm just going to tack them up. I'm not going to show you any of it, but I'll bring you back when I get it done. So here's a grate after I doubled up the spacing on those things. I kind of tacked it on both sides. Hopefully it's going to fit back in there again. You know, it was bent down before, so it was twisted. It's a concrete lip on the thing, so hopefully it's going to fit in that lip. But I'll let you know. I'm going to take it down there and just set it in, and I'll let you know. Okay, so the clip that you just saw is day one of the grate repair. I couldn't get the other grate out. There was 2 of them that needed to be repaired, and I couldn't get the second one out because there was a truck parked over the top of it. So I got a hold of the shop owner, and he gave me authorization to move the truck over and get it out. So I pulled that grate out, and what's coming up is a clip of the second repair, which is similar to the first repair, except that the cross supports on the second one that I took out could not be straightened out in the press. They were just bent too bad. So what I ended up doing is cutting some of the original cross supports out and redoing them, plus adding the intermediate ones to strengthen the piece. So here we go with that clip now. Okay, I've got the second grate out. This is the worst one because this is the one that gets the most traffic over it, and actually sometimes the trucks actually sit on top of it. As you can see, it's pulled out of that, and these are bent really bad. Yeah, let me see what I can do with it. It's going to be a chore getting it back together again, but let me see what I can do with it. So what I had to do in the second one is cut 5 of these crossbars out and replace them with new ones. There's the 5 of them laying down there on the floor. One's kind of underneath the welding table. But what I'll do is I'll get these in place. I'm going to tack them in, and then I'll take this other end over to the press. This isn't bent. These last 3 aren't bent very much, but I'll straighten them out, get it re-welded in, and then put the other cross supports in. I'm going to double them up so they're every 6 inches instead of every foot. I just kind of thought you might want to see the saw working. Okay, and the last item for the shop update. I talked about this in the video, the auction video. I bought this air compressor at the last auction that I went to. The general contractor that went out of business. Anyways, it's a 5-horse, 80-gallon tank. I looked it up one time. I'm thinking it's 22 CFM. Anyways, 5-horse, 223 phase. So again, as talked about in previous clips in this video, relay. I need a relay so that the pressure switch can connect and disconnect the 223 phase. Anyways, I want to hook this compressor up in conjunction with the compressor that I've got now. I'm going to take you for a little walk here, and I'll just show you the compressor that I have right now. In the compressor that I have right now, Ingersoll Rand, it's one of those Tractor Supply type specials that I got, and it's good. It works fine. I think this one is 14 CFM. It's 220 single phase. The only problem with this compressor is when I'm using the bead blaster or the blast cabinet, it struggles to keep up with it. It runs continuously as I'm using the bead blaster. So what I plan on doing is taking that compressor and probably bringing it over here. I'm not positive of that. I might run a header across the shop and put the other compressor someplace else in the shop and just have it supplying a common header. But that has to be done too, and when I get the lift back, the guy borrowed the lift again, but when I get it back, I'm probably going to run some 220 power over by where my truck is for a welder outlet, and at the same time I'll probably be bringing a 220 3-phase line over for wherever I'm going to be putting that other compressor. But anyways, that's it, the end of the shop update.